Hey, you want $5 while supporting this podcast? Try Cash App. I did. Link to debit card, send at least $5 via Cash App. Then $5 was instantly added to my Cash App account. Use my code WKXRVBX to support me and earn your $5 with Cash App. Available in your app store. Mark Roman Empire, also a podcast, sponsored by Ella Dawn Designs, creators of the trademarked Ultimate Shoe Bag. Go to elladondesigns.com, save 10% when you use discount code ROMAN at checkout. elladondesigns.com. And also sponsored by Vegas 90210. Lieutenant Frank, as hired by a California Highway Patrolman for a CHP lieutenant promotion luncheon, as hired by a wedding party in Vegas to escort bride and groom from limo to the Bellagio. Yeah, like the one you saw in Oceans 11, 12, 13, not 8. Lieutenant Frank, Hollywood Cap, Beetlejuice, Ron Burgundy, more. The characters of Vegas 90210. Book one today at Vegas90210.com. Hey kids, know what time it is? Time to podcast. Spreading the news like mayonnaise on toast. Gary, I have a mission for you.
Flux capacitor? Okie dokie. But let me tell you about that time I drove a cab.
Money that's something, chicks that read. I want my Mark TV. First, you're not on TV. Podcast. Now, that is some weird and wild stuff. Did you know that, Ed?
Yes.
Well,
Robin attended Juilliard. I attended Hillsdale. I'm a graduate of the San Francisco Comedy College. I've traveled the Midwest quite extensively. I lived through The Big Short and had a pretty good time doing that. I've seen Pat Robertson jabber about 167 times, and it keeps getting funnier every single time I see it. Not to mention the fact that you're talking to a subversive. So what do you think? Do you think I'm qualified?
Oh, well, I think we'll need to pray about that and ask your father.
Shut up, Marilyn!
The Mark Roman Empire. Also, a podcast.
It's showtime!
Mott the Hoople in the game of life. Yeah. Andy Kaufman in a wrestling match. Yeah. Monopoly, 21 checkers and chess. Yeah. Mr. Fred Blassie in a breakfast mess. Yeah. Let's play Twister, let's play Risk. Yeah. See you heaven if you make the list. Yeah. Now, Andy, did you hear about this one? Tell me, are you locked in the punch? Andy, are you goofing on Elvis? Hey, baby, are we losing touch? If you believed they put a man on the moon, if you believe there's nothing up his sleeve, then nothing is cool. That was my Markioke of Man on the Moon by REM. No kidding, Jim Carrey. Love you, brother. We really got to meet someday. I have been accused of being like Jim Carrey on more than one occasion.
Somebody stop me!
Oddly enough, I've never been accused of being like REM. By the way, you can buy Man on the Moon and other REM songs where music is sold. You know, I might even add a link for that to the favorite things page. Oh, yeah, we got that. Have you checked that out? I know it's not always recurring segment of the podcast, but it'll come back and you can always find it at markromanempire.com. Oh, hi there. I'm Mark Roman. Mark who? Mark Roman. You know, like the Empire. S. Scott McCracken and Stefanie Estes are on the podcast today. Oh, yeah, 2 for the price of 1. Well, maybe for you, dear listeners. That guy from the Men's Wearhouse ads and that girl from the Cannes Film Festival winning short Mary Last Seen here on my podcast. No, you're welcome. We continue to record here at Jung Records, Jung Jung Records here in North Hollywood. Carefully nestled in the wardrobe houses, car crushing yards, and strip club next door district, Austin, the proprietor of the establishment, is back on sound. You like it when I have more than one guest, don't you, Austin? I like it. So, normally, I like to have my monologue nicely prepared for you guys, okay? I don't improv it as much as we do in the interview, much as I love the improv. But, oh my God, so much has just happened in like literally the last 30 minutes of me getting here. Let's start with the fortune cookie. A stranger's kindness will surprise and delight you. I think you all know what to do with that, okay? Even those of you who are not strangers. And let's be honest, if you're listening to the podcast, are you really a stranger to me? But your kindness is still welcome. Okay, can we do that? All right, let's go to the Uber driver who just dropped me off. You get a feel for people, okay? And this guy's mojo just, he had a certain edge. I don't know, maybe it seemed New York, maybe it seemed Boston. I just felt compelled to ask him, where do you perform stand-up? He's like, oh, yeah, I don't. I'm married, I got kids, I'm a real estate broker. I'm like, oh, fuck, not another one. So, anticipating what you'll hear later in the podcast, I asked him, hey, what's your take on The Big Short, the film and the book? So he dives into, for barely a sentence, about the whole Christian Bale character, math predictive genius, pros and cons, and then kind of says, yeah, I don't know if there's a lot of truth in everything they said in that movie. And then immediately, suddenly, we're talking about cryptocurrency. Now, maybe you know which chapter and verse of the book, which scene in the movie addressed Bitcoin or any of the other cryptocurrencies. I'm struggling to recall. I'm a man of a certain age. Maybe I'm not remembering, Your Honor. I don't know. Maybe someone of you could maybe write into the podcast. I'll tell you how to do that later. But I found that fascinating. Anyway, I told him to listen to the podcast. He instructed me to, of course, he had this nice, crisp, beautifully built business card that he handed me as I completed my Uber ride. So, I'll be calling him immediately to, buy or sell a home. Oh, if you're listening, brother. Richard, don't call him Dick. He's not my dad. Yeah, I love you, man. You brighten my day. You brighten my day, which is good because my day needed to be brightened. I didn't get to go see Matt Johnson and the at the Palladium last night, or at the theater across the 101 from the Hollywood Bowl the night before. And I got to be honest, guys, I'm a little pissed off about that. I've been looking forward all summer to seeing the. Oh, my God. But priorities. Yeah, some people have a luxury car payment. I have a podcast that I make for you that you get to enjoy for free. You're welcome. It's like I got to build this thing, all right? I'm all Kevin Costner, and I don't even like baseball. I'm building it, and hopefully it's going to do something. I don't know. That last night, overnight, I was just sharing here with Austin that on the SoundCloud, the first episode with Ashley Mary Nunez actually doubled listeners, literally overnight, which is awesome. So, the as Morrissey would sing, these things take time. That wasn't good, but sorry. I'm not a singer. That's why we call it Markioki. I thought we were clear. All right. What else was upsetting me? Bill Burr on his latest Monday morning podcast. Yeah, my imaginary older brother. He's got a story that he shares about a bike route, and we'll tell you more about this in 1 second. Fucking Bill Burr. No, I meant that like as in, fucking Bill Burr. I don't mean like, I'm not suggesting an activity. I think we're all clear on that about what I'm about to discuss about my imaginary older brother. Anyway, he's sharing this nice story, I feel like I should like curl up next to the fire and get some hot chocolate at that place where the cool kids go skiing in LA in the wintertime. That's coming up, isn't it? Seasons. Yeah, I want to have a sporty spice latte. That's later in the show. Anyway, Bill fucking Burr is telling me this nice story about riding a bike, which I recall. I rode my bike all the time when I was a kid in Auburn. Wow, I survived that. And he's talking about his paper route. Yeah, he's like, I always had money. Since I was 3, I always had money. Okay, well, fuck you, Bill Burr. All right, thanks for like letting me know what I should have done in my childhood. Wow, thanks. So that's another reason why I'm in a pissy mood, not just because I missed the concert last night. But, okay. What you need to do is breathe, okay? Because your chakras, they want to align. They really do. You just need to sit back and let them, okay? Can we do that? Yeah. Yeah. All right. I'm trying, kids, here. I'm really trying, okay? I want the program to work for me. I want to work the program, yeah. Anyway, speaking of working the program, Harry Shearer. Oh, yeah, the Harry Shearer. You mean the guy from This Is Spinal Tap? Yes. You mean the guy with all his voices on The Simpsons? Yes. The Harry Shearer. He has a radio show. Now it's a podcast called The Show. And apparently it's been influential. How do I know this? Because every time on his show, I'm a somewhat faithful listener, whenever he utters the phrase President Trump, he does exactly that. He chuckles because he finds it amusing, the very phrase. And I hesitate to dip into the orange goo here. As we know, I try not to do that here on the podcast. We have plenty of it in real life, unfortunately. But I just felt the need to point out that clearly the UN delegates listened to Le Show because they laughed when the Orange Crisis talked. That happened. Because you know what he'll do in his 4-year-old boastful manner. He'll say stuff. He'll be Trump. And clearly, the UN delegates listen to Le Show. And I just got to say, the Harry Shearer, well done. Podcasts shape the world. Hey, sometimes they shapeshift it. Book 'em, Dano. Oh, shut up, Marilyn. For those of you who've been listening faithfully to the podcast, I know who you are, and I respect you. I've read my poem, Son of Elmer Gantry's Bitch, in its entirety and in bite-sized fifths. Cheers. You're welcome. But time to diversify the literature segment of the podcast. The Big Short is a book I've read. It's also a film I've seen. It's also a film I worked on. In one of those Vegas scenes, I'm one of the bankers at the convention on the escalator going down. Could not be more symbolic. Anyway, at the risk of you acting like Bill Hicks at the Waffle House, well, looky here. Looks like we got ourselves a reader. Here's a few choice morsels to whet your appetite for The Big Short, the book. What are the odds that people will make smart decisions about money if they don't need to make smart decisions? If they can get rich making dumb decisions? The incentives on Wall Street were all wrong. They're still all wrong. The CDO was, in effect, a credit laundering service for the residents of lower middle-class America. For Wall Street, it was a machine that turned lead into gold. That was the problem with money. What people did with it had consequences, but they were so remote from the original action that the mind never connected the one with the other. Success was individual achievement. Failure, now that was a social problem.
When you're a conservative Republican, you never think people are making money by ripping other people off, he said. His mind was now fully open to the possibility. I now realize that there was an entire industry called consumer finance that basically existed to rip people off.
A home without equity is just a rental with debt. And finally, a last little quote here for you kids to incent you to get a little curious and maybe go read The Big Short, the book. Charlie and Jamie had always sort of assumed that there was some grown-up in charge of the financial system whom they had never met. Now, they saw there was not. Hey guys, you can, and ladies, and those of you who've yet to decide, because, you're a little more interesting as individuals, and I like that about you, okay? Gender fluidity is embraced by this podcast. And you can write this podcast at romanpodmail@gmail.com. Perhaps you, dear listener, yes, you, I'm talking to you right now. Yes, you. Perhaps you can be the first. Yeah, you reading between the lines there? Okay. But folks have responded to the podcast already, okay, on social media. And at the suggestion of a fellow podcaster and upcoming guest, Nurse Ursilia Pompilio. Ursilia, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. I know we've done some stuff, but, we're getting to know each other, all right? I'm trying. I'm really trying, okay? Ursilia of the Nurses and Hypochondriacs podcast. Nurse Ursilia thought I should share some of the social media response with you, my dear, sweet listener. LinkedIn. Yeah, the online resume. I didn't see that coming either. This is what I found on my inbox on LinkedIn. A message from a realtor. Yeah, another one. This one in Florida. Now, guys, it might be a bit much for me to attempt her voice, the voice that I imagine her having, because I've never heard it, as far as I know. Let's just let her words do the talking. This is from Priscilla. I checked out some of the podcast and your site and some of your links. Oh, and I signed up for your newsletter too. I am an official fan. I'm sorry, I mispronounced that. I am a official fan. Simple non-emoji smiley face. So the colon, the little curvy thing. Mark, your style of improv is very abstract and it's not static. I think it's an acquired taste, not in a bad way. Unique. And I see how you would have a quote-unquote following, which you do, no doubt. The cool part is it is, once again, well, it's uniquely, quote-unquote, you. Don't ever change. Parentheses, is what also was once written all over my HS yearbook. Close parentheses. Small T, thanks for sharing. Priscilla, and if I may be so bold as to speak for the rest of the audience, I think we can all agree that we thank you for sharing. Now, people will actually ask me, today of all days even, Mark, how do you manage to find new material? I know, they don't all sound that way, like, my crappy impression of Bill Burr's crappy impression of what ladies are supposed to sound like. Oh yeah, he's still married. He has a daughter too. Still does the voice. Then before I can answer, this happens. I'll just read you my tweet, okay? You may judge me for my lack of a college degree, yet I retain my curiosity, literacy, and command of basic English grammar I learned as a fifth grader. Hashtag dating, hashtag LinkedIn, hashtag corporate, hashtag intelligence, hashtag actor's life, hashtag writer's life, hashtag English, hashtag grammar, hashtag curiosity. Now, this image in my tweet is a screen capture of the message thread. We'll have a link for it in the show notes, but I'll read it to you now because I know you want to know right now. So the other person messages me at 2:11 p.m. Cool. You graduate in 94 political science and international relations. Hours later at 11:26 p.m., I respond, groovy. I'm an expelled student editor. Wait for it. The following day at 7:28 a.m., it allows a good 8 hours of sleep and some time for reflection, don't you? Do you think so? I think so, yeah. This is how this person responded. Great. Have a great day. I wish I made this stuff up. I don't. All right. I do want to share a premise in the stand-up comedy business when you haven't fully fleshed out the joke, something that'll actually get laughs. You have an idea that you're sure is a winner. I love that idea. I want to touch it, pet it, hold it, keep it. We'll get a laugh. I don't know. That's not what's important. So this is one of those for the podcast, all right? I heard on KPCC, on the Take Two episode, on the 20th of September, they were talking about this LA County song by Sing Out, three brothers who were in. And that triggered for me, because I got a lot of those, as we all know, all right? That triggered for me, Sing Out. Oh, what came before Up With People? Oh, what Mom, would always talk to me about. And she would always talk about not Glenn Close, but Glennie Close. And Glennie Close has some interesting stories about her time with Up With People. So that's a little bit of extra texture to me being the son of Elmer Gantry's bitch. It's undeveloped. We got to explore that further in a future podcast. And I would love to sit down with Glennie Close sooner rather than later. So if you know someone who knows her folks, just throw it out there. All right. One of these days, this podcast is going to get all grossed up and people will want to do it. I'm talking to you, Eddie Pepitone. Okay. When are we going to do this, brother? You told me you want to. No pressure. Hashtag Eddie Pepitone Tonight Show. Hey, you want $5? Who doesn't? You want $5 while supporting this podcast? Try the Cash App. I did. Linked a debit card, then sent my sound engineer at least $5 via Cash App, and $5 instantly added to my Cash App account. Hey, I even tried Bitcoin. Finally. Thanks to Cash App, it was super easy. Hey, other podcasters got all that Fear Factor and MMA money? Use my code WKXRVBX, not in Cincinnati, WKXRVBX to support me and earn your $5 with Cash App, available in your app store. The Mark Roman Empire, also a podcast, sponsored by Ella Dawn Designs. There's got to be a better way to travel with your shoes. Now there is. The trademarked Ultimate Shoe Bag by Ella Dawn Designs. Travel your shoes easier. Up to 8 pairs at a time, many styles to choose. To view the commercial and demo video, go to elladondesigns.com. Hey, save 10% when you use discount code ROMAN at checkout. elladondesigns.com. Also sponsored by the characters of Vegas 90210, my singular Lieutenant Frank in women's short shorts and rainbow tactical leg warmers. I fucking love this guy. Blurted Bill Burr on his Bill Burr's Guide to Driving Etiquette. Pedestrians. He's a really big dude. He looks really good. He's a lot bigger than me. That's how the OG Lieutenant Dangle, Tom Lennon of Reno 911, described me on the Jeselnik Offensive on Comedy Central. Oh, I'm sorry. Anthony Jeselnik, Amy Schumer's ex. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Lieutenant Frank, recently hired by a California Highway Patrolman for a CHP Lieutenant Promotion Luncheon at Bank of California Stadium at Echo Park. Oh, yeah, that happened. So what about your event? Got Lieutenant Frank? Or Hollywood Cap, the Captain America of the Hollywood Avengers? Ron Burgundy, Buddy the Elf, and Beetlejuice, available by special order. I put the I in improv. What your upcoming event truly needs Book a Vegas 90210 character for your event today at Vegas90210.com. And finally, we are also sponsored by Mark Roman Empire merch. My poem, Son of Elmer Gantry's Bitch, autographed. Lieutenant Frank citations previously issued to a real FBI agent for being Scully. Also issued to 8,754 others. Oh yeah, I'm going to update that number every week. And Lieutenant Frank headshots, autographed. Simon Cowell got one last week, for his work with Duran Duran. No, I know. You go ahead and tell Lieutenant Frank. Buy my poem, citation, or headshot today at markromanempire.com. Click merch. So you guys liking the podcast so far? Let's see. What have I created to date for your listening pleasure? We had the Fab First Five, Ashley, Corey, Ross, Deborah, and Sammy. Number one was Ashley Mary Nunez, Wonder Woman cosplayer and busker, as well as Scream Queen actor from such films as All Through the House. Number two, Corey Robinson, the award-winning LA stand-up comedian known for his hashtag, It's Not About Race Though, posts, and his Taco Bell diet bit. Number three, Ross Michael Johnson. Yes, Logan, X-Men Wolverine, cosplayer and busker, and known for Anger Anonymous, which he produced and starred in. He was also the co-inventor of with his family of the Ultimate Shoe Bag. Number four, Deborah Hayden, animator, designer, artist, complex flower, feminine oddity, and star in the award-winning film Scumbag. Number five, Sammy Obeid, stand-up comedian seen on Conan and America's Got Talent, who performed 1,001 nights, consecutive nights of comedy, and is running for president in 2036. That was the Fab First Five. Last week, we had number six, Lee Koch, hip-hop and rock recording artist and actor who studied and worked with James Franco and just wrapped filming on The Mule, a feature film in which his character has scenes conversing with Clint Eastwood. How am I doing so far? We are currently in the midst of number seven, allegedly the McCracken Estes episode. It's a little touch and go. We'll find out what happens. I'm kind of curious myself. It's going to be exciting. But wait, there's more. Let's travel into the future, shall we? Upcoming guests, with the exception of 2 dates, this podcast is all booked up with guests to the end of the year. Is that crazy? Yesterday, I booked the third guest for next year. Who have I booked? Great question. Well, we got the regular ABCs, as you all know, actors, buskers, and comics. But I've also got Freddie Morales, the lead singer of Devotional, the LA-based Depeche Mode tribute band. I'm actually wearing his shirt that he gave me right now. Thanks, Freddie. Looking forward to that. I've got a nurse with a podcast. I've got an election special with folks from Ground Game LA helping me review my ballot. No worries. I'm a big boy. I can make my own choices. What is Ground Game LA, you might ask? That's why they will be on the podcast. Also, a former NFL cheerleader, another singer-songwriter, the Artemis Women in Action Film Festival, The Woman, the Creator, Jules from Pulp Fiction, Iron Man, and Austin Powers. Yeah, baby, yeah, and much more. People who make the Mark Roman Empire groovy. So if you're looking forward to all that and enjoy the podcast we've already recorded, remember that I'm but a working artist. I'm the guy subsidizing this grand adventure. How can you support the podcast? Thought you'd never ask. There are a few ways, and we keep adding more. Just go to markromanempire.com and click support to learn more. And thanks. If you like this podcast, don't forget to pass the experience on to a friend, a family member, a coworker, a random person you just met today. You know, my Uber driver, okay? It was insanely random, as we previously discussed. I got his card. I'm going to email him a link to the latest episode, the Lee Koch episode. Anyone who likes to listen to podcasts, have them try mine. Thanks, guys. And now this week, because if it's not on social media, then are we really in the Matrix? Am I right? On the Twitter, where I post as the Mark Roman. Can you believe I've done 13,000 tweets already? There's the tweet about Deborah Hayden from podcast number 4, who was in the UK Daily Mail. There's Bill Burr's favorite word. There's the CD guy's blatant crime on Hollywood Boulevard. I know, it's the first time. I get it. The college grad displaying his literacy on LinkedIn, as we previously discussed. Got a link for that in the show notes. Bert and Ernie controversy. And this podcast. Oh, yeah, The Connection. Let's go over to Instagram, where I post at Vegas90210. LA tribute band Sandwich. Freddie Morales of Devotional. Jose Maldonado of Sweet and Tender Hooligans. And me. That's a cool picture. There's also the casual Lemmy. Check that out. And I know I mentioned this last week, but I mean, come on. Simon Cowell's autographed Lieutenant Frank headshot. It's worth a second look. Oh, yeah. So, kids, where can you see me? It's a great question. You know, the Lieutenant Frank cameos, they are getting rarer on Hollywood Boulevard. I'm busy. A lot of stuff going on, mostly because Lieutenant Frank is busy with the tailgates. The upcoming ones, of course, on the 6th. Are we in October already? We are. The 6th of October, UCLA versus Washington over at the Rose Bowl. And on the 7th, Chargers versus Raiders over there in Echo Park? You know, the LA Coliseum, next to the LA Football Club thing. Also, Hollywood Cap on Hollywood Boulevard with the Hollywood Avengers. Usually Hollywood Wolverine. On occasion, Hollywood Iron Man drops in. Don't forget, you can listen to the podcast at Mixcloud, Podbean, Stitcher, and YouTube, all of which you can find me as Mark Roman Empire. On SoundCloud, it's Mark Roman Podcast. And you don't have to remember any of that. All right, just go to markromanempire.com. It has all the links plus new grooviness. Keep checking back. There's more stuff all the time. We keep updating. You're welcome. My interview guests. We still don't know. Today, they are both working actors. Or is she a working actor? We're going to find out. If it's both of them, I can definitely tell you this. They work together on the music video, We Are the Lonely. Only the Lonely. No, wait, that's something different. They work together on We Are the Lonely and the film In Full Bloom. And I got to catch up a little with my buddy Scott. I sure hope I can. But is it Scott? Or is it Sean? As Scott? What is this? A parlor reading of The Great Gatsby? Sean Scott. Ooh, I got a live one here. Sean Scott. It's got that certain Southern Belle, American Pie, Je suis à toi. I may need to clear that up with him. He is the new face of the Men's Wearhouse. Sean Scott. If he's here. Will he be? He might. We don't know yet. I love the tension, don't you? It's building the suspense. Sean Scott McCracken, and definitely, absolutely, I'm looking at her right now in the flesh. She is definitely here. Stefanie Estes. Strap in, kids. We got a lot of ground to cover. Release the Estes and McCracken. At least the Estes. I'm singing the All in the Family Archie Bunker song. It's got Carol O'Connor and Edith. I don't know the words to this song. Those were the days and stuff. So, and I'm singing even more. Can I be like Maurice Stapleton? I don't know. Is that even her name? Those were the days. These were the days. We are the days. So that was my attempt to sing, because my sound engineer was asking me to do that for sound levels. It's so you guys can have a better podcast. You guys aren't even hearing this. So this is the kind of work and devotion that I put into your goddamn podcast. I do this for you because I mean, who else will? Let's be honest. If I don't create the Mark Roman Empire, I mean, right?
Okay.
Steph, how you doing, darling? Sorry, I wanted to be there with you
I know. That would
and hanging out.
just chilling. That's all right. We'll do it another time.
How's the studio?
Very cool. Super
Nice.
cool.
We've got people here fanning us. There's fruit platters.
There's a fruit platter.
yeah.
There's like some like paleo muffins, like all very some kombucha on tap, cold brew.
It's like this Greek spread. Greek salad.
Oh,
cool.
so good. So fresh.
Cheap,
Oh,
right?
yeah. It was like,
It's so fresh.
Yeah, incredibly fresh. Okay, I just pulled a Mark Maron on everyone. The podcast already started here, brother.
ooh.
But I'm not going to tell you when we started recording. But
I'm not going to tell you. I'm still on the plane.
You're still on the plane. I believe you.
Still on the plane, yeah.
And you're still chasing after your dog in the plane.
You're right.
And you just saw something fly by the window and you don't. All right, to bring everyone up to speed, what were you doing and where were you yesterday?
Well, I was in New York City this morning working for, I am the new, okay, so you know the old commercials that are the Men's Wearhouse guy, and he says, you're going to like the way you look.
George Zimmer. Who doesn't know?
It.
And now I have a George Zimmer beard.
Right? I've seen that. Yes, I saw that. So they parted ways with George Zimmer in 2011. And he was the founder of the company, but then once it went public, they had some other ideas, and they decided.
That's weird because that never happens.
So strange. Yeah.
Right, that never happens. Just think about.
This was at one time.
Steve Jobs.
Yeah, right.
They kicked him out of Apple.
What?
Right? Yeah.
Nobody told me.
Yeah.
Where is he? Can we go give him a hug? Where's Steve Jobs?
He needs
right now?
one. He needs one.
He's dead, but.
Oh,
they kicked him out of Apple, and then they ended up bringing him back.
Okay.
So they're not going to bring George Zimmer back. Actually, Zimmer has his new thing. I forgot what it is. It's some online business that has to do with suits. Anyway,
I didn't have to forget because I didn't even know what it was in the first place. But I'm rolling with you, brother. And by the way, hey, brother, is it Sean? Is it Sean Scott? Is it S. Scott Fitzgerald? I mean, S. Scott McCracken? Like, what? We're confused here. Who are you?
Who am I? That's a great question. I'm many different things. To Stefanie, as we started earlier in our career.
Well, hold on one sec. We do have Stefanie here.
Yes, I am here.
Stefanie Estes.
Hello.
Stefanie, who patiently endured a la the Kevin Pollak chat show, where Kevin conveniently is chat show. She sat through a majority of my monologue.
I enjoyed it.
So did you?
Oh.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah,
Very
it was good.
Yeah.
Oh.
We've got a really big guy holding a gun to her head when she said that. So
I'm
just,
actually terrified right now.
Be disclosed fully to the listening audience. Anyway, continue. We have established the two guests.
Right. So it's Scott. It's Scott. Scott is my middle name. It's the name that I go by on set. For people that have known me earlier in the business.
Yeah, I met you.
Which actually includes you
and me.
I knew you as Mark Niels.
I have no idea what you just said.
Roman.
I heard the Mark part. The other part, I don't know.
Right.
That sounds like fingernails down the chalkboard. I'm Mark Roman.
So it's Scott or some of the crew have been taking to call me Scotty. My old friends call me Sean. In my regular life,
Scotty?
I still have my old friends call me Sean.
I don't think Scotty suits you.
I don't think you could. I don't think you could be an engineer on a starship in Starfleet. I'm sorry, brother. There's a lot of you have a very rich and varied life that suggests you might be the very next most interesting man in the world.
Yeah, I would say that.
Stefanie, would you agree with that?
Yes,
but
that's the vibe I'm
getting. I don't see you saying to anyone ever. Prepare to be beamed aboard. I don't see you.
I don't see it either.
Yeah. So Sean Scott.
Yeah,
I just know you as Sean. I didn't know you were
really
going by Scott.
McCracken is my name. There's another Sean McCracken out there that is in our world, and I don't think that he's
in the film business, and he's
that I'm doing.
Got a name with SAG-AFTRA.
Yeah, exactly.
So you had to get creative with your name.
I see.
Your numerology, is that like numerology?
Numerology.
By the way,
It's also, yeah.
to our listeners, what we're doing here, because Scott went through this ordeal and he's now ensconced somewhere in a nice hut on the beach in Santa Monica or something like that, holding your dog that you've recovered. You've recovered your dog, right?
Recovered the dog,
Good.
found the keys.
Found the keys. All right.
Have a drink.
But if for those of you who think, Mark, I kind of like your podcast, but it kind of sounds like Sean Scott's like talking on a speakerphone into a microphone. That's because that's exactly what's going on right now, because Sean Scott is not here to enjoy the, Stephanie, you want more of that Greek salad?
Oh, I would love some more of that Greek. It's very very fresh.
And the champagne.
I didn't even notice that.
Wow, I know.
Oh,
wow, we got choices.
Wow.
Huh.
Wow.
The pink one.
I'd go with the pink.
I'm so
Yep.
jealous.
Mhm,
I want
mhm,
some of this
mhm.
this platter.
Anyway, sorry, we get there's a lot of people here.
There's
and,
a lot of people.
I
a
guess
lot
there's
of
massages
food.
later too.
Yeah, free massages.
Yeah, it's crazy, but yeah, just it's like and
Some
it's,
swag. Some
being
free
in the biz, you know how it is, Sean Scott, right?
It sounds like a Coen movie.
It's interesting you should bring up a Coen movie, because I had a previous podcast guest. A podcast is like
A podcast.
She responded, and I have to be very vague here, because she responded to a troller on social media, and the way she did it was so clever, but little kid innocent, but just Jedi brutal. It was awesome. And I literally messaged her about it and said, "You go, girl. That was awesome." And then I said, "I need to see you in the next Coen Brothers buddy cop movie starring you," because just the way she did it was awesome. Anyway, I hope I was vague enough there, and this is not going to come back to bite me.
Yeah.
But anyway,
who was
this
it?
is about you, Sean Scott, and Stephanie, who's actually here.
And
I'm
Steph,
actually here.
yeah.
I'm actually here.
Steph and I we just recently went to a premiere of our film
That is
in
true.
full bloom.
Let's start there in full bloom.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
Stephanie, how about you start?
yeah, so In Full Bloom is a it's set in the 1950s. It's about
A period piece.
A period piece, indeed. It's about a
Mm.
American boxer who's up against a Japanese boxer who's like champion. He's been training with this master teacher up in the wilderness.
So this is like a Raging Bull meets
Sort of.
Fast and Furious Tokyo
It's like,
Drift.
well,
or
here's
completely different?
what it's like. Raging Bull meets Tree of Life.
Oh, I need to see that.
Mhm.
I need to see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So Sean and I, neither of us play boxers. I know.
I know, I did.
I'm
totally like.
I could transform.
I thought you were the one in that Clint Eastwood
She's
film.
on fire
I know.
though.
I know.
Yeah. No, seriously, Sean Scott, I was about to reach for the Greek salad, and it was really close to Stephanie, and she just kind of like she
I
flexed
kind
her,
of flexed
her arm.
my bicep a little
Can
bit.
I reveal to the listeners that you are bare armed right now?
Yep,
Yeah,
mhm.
she kind of flexed it, and she this look in her eye. I kind of regretted like 90% of my life decisions, like right then and there.
Yep.
It was fierce.
Scary.
It was fierce.
Scary.
Did
but
we mention how good the Greek salad tastes?
What's the dressing?
It's really indescribable.
yeah,
It's just magic. It's like, it's heaven, really. If you could taste heaven, I think we're tasting it right now.
I'd agree.
And as like an agnostic, that's a rather bold statement for me to make, because, am I saying it's possibly imaginary? Yeah, it's that good.
Yeah, it's that good. Uh-huh.
Right, Stephanie?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. So in the film, I play the American boxer's wife,
Okay.
and Sean. I'm sorry, Scott. S. Scott McCracken,
Stephanie?
not Sean. Sorry,
Stephanie?
Scott.
You are empowered. You can call
I can
Sean
call
Scott whatever you want him to
you
call,
whatever I
okay?
want.
That's
That's
why
right.
you were
That's
brought
right.
onto
Yes.
this podcast,
So
okay?
the thing is, I've known Scott for a really long time, but I've always known him as Sean, and that's just how I.
Okay.
Well, anyway, he plays the American boxer's manager.
Oh, interesting.
Who, I mean, it's a really. Do you want to chime in, Scott?
Yeah, sure. So I play his manager, and I am the one getting him the gig. He's a down and out boxer,
Okay.
and he needs to come back.
Sure.
Right? He's
I mean,
gonna
don't
get
we
one of
all?
the States.
Actually,
We all-
I do.
He's got a
At
wife
one
to
point or
support.
another,
Gotcha.
definitely. I'm working on mine from last night right now. And so I've got to do whatever I can to get my guy work.
Sure.
To get him a fight.
It's what you do.
And that's what I do. I'm his manager. I'm always up there. I'm always fighting for him. I'm always making deals for him, getting him to know the people, getting him to see into the room with the people he needs to see so that he can build his career and be successful. We're old friends. I've known each other for a long time. The thing is that
makes sense.
My methods aren't always the most.
They're not always above board.
Ah, well, you are a manager, and in this town, I think we all know what that means.
Yeah. So I end up making a deal with the Yakuza to get my guy.
As you do.
As one does, absolutely. Sure, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you can imagine.
I got a fortune cookie today. How do you think I got that? All right.
You made a deal with Yakuza?
I pledged a blood oath. I can't reveal any. I think I've said too much. Okay.
And so it turns out that the Yakuza, they don't want to suffer another defeat against the Americans because remember, she said this is a period piece. It's 1950s. This is just post-war World War II.
And
right? So
we interned a lot of Japanese Americans.
Yeah,
we did.
We put them in a prison. It was a gulag, really.
Yeah.
We like to point our fingers at the Mother Russia with the gulag, but yeah, we kind of did that too. We did that too. We had prison camps.
Yeah, I've actually visited the one out on the 395 on the way to Mammoth.
Wow.
I think everybody should check that out.
Yeah.
Especially in times like this when there's been rhetoric about registering Muslims.
Right? Seriously.
Yeah, to really understand the history of what we had done to the Japanese.
And what we're doing now to the people coming into the country.
Yeah, anyone coming into the country. It's like at the end of the day, we're all immigrants. Mm-hmm. It's just, time is the only difference. So you absolutely are this manager.
Yeah.
And how do you...
I'm his manager, and I have to then convince him that he needs to throw the fight, because if he doesn't throw the fight,
of course,
we're going to die. I mean, we made a deal. We made a deal with the Yakuza. There's no out. There's no out.
But could you have higher stakes?
Could you make it a little more nerve-wracking?
Yeah.
And I don't want you to share anything because we want to go see this movie, right?
Yeah.
So we don't want plot spoilers here. So I'm not going to ask you plot spoiler delivering questions, all right?
No.
But it's a beautiful film. It's gorgeously shot. It's just
sounds just period.
Yeah. Yeah, the costumes, the locations, and the screening was kind of amazing. Like it was at the Saban Theater in Beverly Hills, which for people who are unfamiliar with it, is this gorgeous kind of art deco.
I actually haven't been there yet. Okay.
It's really something to behold, and to get to watch the film on such a big screen with like a full house. It was really... It makes
a huge difference.
Yeah. And
I was sitting next to Mickey Rourke. How fun was that?
You mentioned that. They'll tell us about that for a sec. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
What's
great.
that like?
So I had rolled in and was kind of spending a little extra time out in the lobby trying to gather friends and friends that had come to see the movie.
Sure.
And someone had taken my seats. And so the producer, Jacob, he decided as I walked up with my date and I, and he said, you know what, your seat's been taken. I'm just going to plop you next to Mickey Rourke.
Sure, why not?
Why not?
Why not?
This is pretty cool. So I'm sitting there next to Mickey. I've got my date to my left. Mickey's next to me. And then to the right of Mickey is the lead actor, Tyler Wood, who's the American boxer, who is Stefanie's character's husband.
Gotcha.
Right? How many levels do you have to? His name's Clint, the character.
Of course.
Of course.
And so he knew Mickey Rourke. They're old friends from boxing. And
that totally makes sense.
And it was great. I was just sitting there and I was like, this is amazing. Watching this incredibly beautiful film.
Right.
Right next to, a classic actor that's done some amazing work.
Right.
From The Wrestler.
Talk about texture.
Mm-hmm.
To some of the older stuff like 9.5 Weeks, right?
Mm-hmm.
and someone that I grew up watching and admiring, and that was just pretty surreal. It was also great when.
What was the film that he was in Rio de Janeiro? What's that film? Anybody? Any listeners who can like travel back in time, listening to this on a Monday or Tuesday, the week after we're recording this?
Yeah, I have no idea.
We'll figure it out. A bunch of you listening right now are like screaming, you know, it's that movie.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it on IMDb on my phone right now. How could you not know? You know?
And Stephanie, you know, she brought up that it's kind of a boxing movie that is also mixed with the Tree of Life. And I think that that's actually accurate because the director, Adam Villaseñor, his mentor is actually Terrence Malick. They work together.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He sends his work to Terrence Malick. Malick gives him notes on it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And that's pretty fantastic to have that kind of amazing talent, someone that has that kind of a visual eye for art, to be able to make notes on your film.
Right. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
As a new filmmaker, a newish filmmaker.
Now, Tree of Life, is that the one? Is Christian Bale in Tree of Life?
No.
I think of a different. Okay, so there's a Terrence Malick movie that Tom Lennon is in. And of course, I have kind of a unique connection with Tom Lennon. He's literally driven down Hollywood Boulevard on at least 3 separate occasions yelling out my name because my Lieutenant Frank in women's short shorts and rainbow tactical leg warmers is definitely very, very heavily inspired by his Lieutenant Dangle in Reno 911. So.
And see, I thought that was Bill Burr. So you have lots of guys, lots of famous people yelling out your name.
Bill Burr Bill Burr knows Lieutenant Frank, and he does a segment where he's driving around Hollywood or wherever. He might be in Indianapolis, and you know, he's being Bill Burr. He's this, you know, this angry, ginger-haired, back when he had hair, Boston guy just yelling and screaming because, you know, that's why his show on Netflix is called F is for Family. Do the math. And he sees my Lieutenant Frank, and I somehow interacted with LA Fire Department, and he liked that. And so there's this picture of Bill in the car in sunglasses pointing to my Lieutenant Frank crossing, I think, Wilcox at Hollywood Boulevard. And that's the thumbnail of the YouTube video. It's a little 2-minute thing on All Things Comedy. So, yeah, but he has no idea who Mark Roman is. If we encountered each other, it'd be very similar to how most people encounter Bill, which he loves. Like, some fans recognize him. Most people have no idea who he is. He can go to Trader Joe's unmolested, unlike Brad Pitt.
I saw him hiking in Griffith Park once with his dog.
Did you?
Yeah. And
back when he had the dog, he's got his daughter now.
Yeah, so they got rid of the dog.
Now I sound really creepy.
I know, we know so much about his life.
Yeah. Is this what's going to happen to me?
Yeah,
people are
probably.
like, complete strangers are going to come, Mark, I know all these things about you. And Lieutenant, yeah, I got to go.
Yeah, I was completely starstruck,
you'd
though.
Die for a stalker, Mark.
I probably would.
You'd die for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stephanie, have you had any stalkers?
Have I? No. I've had like weird interactions with people I've worked with.
Now I noticed. I want to get back to We Are the Lonely because I actually saw that music video.
Oh, and
the two of you guys.
Can I just interject? When the director of We Are the Lonely was the director of In Full Bloom, the movie we were just talking about.
See, that makes a lot of sense because I feel like We Are the Lonely is like that was almost like the audition.
Yeah,
in
totally,
a sense.
totally for the feature.
And it's gorgeous. And can I just say, like, it'd be easier if you were actually here, Sean Scott, but the two of you, I mean, it's like insane, classic Hollywood. The two of you are just like John Hamm level gorgeous. And I'm talking to you, Stephanie, of course. Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Sean Scott, you got some work to do, okay? All right. So you got blue eyes. So what?
So what?
You know?
So what?
Yeah,
So
but
what?
you guys, it's like classic. It's like amazing.
So I used to double for John Hamm. So what?
So what?
So what? You know?
So what?
Forget about it. But I was going to ask you if you were here in person, not on speakerphone. I was going to ask the two of you if when you are out in public, when you happen to be together at an event for a production you're both in, do little kids walk up to you randomly and just go, "Can you be my new mommy and daddy?" Because that was my takeaway from the two of you in We Are the Lonely.
Has that happened to you, Scott?
No, absolutely
Nope.
not. I try to stay away from little kids.
That's what I was going to say. I stay away from children.
that they're mine.
I love it. That's just a gorgeously shot and a great homage to, the romantic classic Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's impressive, and it's great music. And it's just a short little, 4 or 5 minute.
Yeah, shout out to Una Music.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
artist.
We'll have a link in the show notes, everyone.
And what's also nice.
Very cool group. Love those guys. Loved. I forgot his name at the moment, but the guy from the band who plays keyboard, and he has this gorgeous Volvo. That's the same Volvo from The Saint.
The Saint.
The movie or the
With Val
Roger Moore
Kilmer?
thing that my
The
roommate
Roger
keeps
Moore
watching.
TV show.
Oh, I was thinking
Yeah,
The
the
Saint
Roger
with
Moore
Val
TV
The
Kilmer.
Roger Moore thing, yeah. I have an eccentric
And
roommate that
There's a quick shot of the Volvo in the music video, but I did a lot of driving, and unfortunately they cut the driving part of it.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
But that car, just beautiful.
Do you want to take a moment?
Yeah. Should we leave you alone for a minute?
I do.
We understand. I mean, hey, this Greek salad's not going to eat itself, right?
So that's where Steph and I met.
And what's
And,
nice, what's nice, if I can interject about
Please do.
thank you, about that music video was I think it's just like a testament to those moments where you get to work with people that you really click with.
Yeah.
And then they get another opportunity to do something a little bit bigger. And they think, oh, I had a good time working with those two actors, and they might be good for this feature that I'm working on. I just think it's working in this business, you do so much and you're like, will this ever amount to anything?
Right.
And it's just a good reminder to show up, even if it's to a music video, because you don't know where that's
because you never know.
gonna lead.
You have no idea, and that's the thing that it kind of amuses me when you'll hear people talk about Hollywood from the outside as if like all these people conspire to just work together and never bring in anyone else. And it's like, well, when you spend 14 hours
with a person
on a set or a location and all these difficult conditions, it's like you really get to know them, and it's either really good or it's really bad. And when it's really good and there's a new opportunity and you're offered someone that you've spent 14 hours on a set with, and you're like, no, I could do that. I did not want to, put a bullet in my head.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or some random person you don't know that you have no idea.
Right.
If 20 minutes in, you'll be like, how the fuck do I get out of this production?
Exactly.
And redeem my career.
Yeah.
It's like, well, yeah, when you have good experiences, you want to, with cool people, you want to do more of that.
Yeah. You want to keep,
anyone would, any human being would want to do that. So
absolutely.
I'm excited. You guys got to do that, because now I want to see in full bloom, because to me, I feel like that it feels like it's an expanded take on that sketch, really, which is a gorgeous production. We Are the Lovely music video.
And in a specific dream sequence, we end up, because she's with my boxer who's my client, and there's no, that's his wife, but we do end up in a dream sequence kind of having maybe a little risque interaction.
Yeah, we do.
So,
might I say there's definitely, that's why I referenced the small child wandering up to you two. Yeah, there's definitely a suggestion of a possibility,
But it was
scripted.
Yeah, it's funny. Sean and I are always cast, even when we're like not supposed to be in a couple. They find a way to
look
get
great
us
together.
to make out.
You look great together. You do, and it's like it's that. I'm sorry, you're two very beautiful people. Deal, okay?
Deal with it.
Yeah.
handle it.
But I have to bring up, Sean, you remember on We Are the Lonely? Okay, if you remember, there's a boat sequence. We're on a sailboat.
Oh yeah,
I do. It's very JFK, which you played before, right? I'm talking to Sean Scott, not Stephanie. Dear listeners.
But I did play JFK.
Stephanie did play JFK. And why can't she?
But why can't I?
Right.
But if you'll remember, Sean Scott McCracken, bless him, he So I didn't take Dramamine before we got on that boat, and it was real choppy.
You get seasick?
And
It was no bueno.
It was real bad. I was like hurling.
You do get to wear
over-
sunglasses.
Yeah, thank God.
So, yeah.
I was hurling over the side, and then I then had to make out with him, and
Oh, nice.
I know.
Nice.
Oh,
See, that's the thing. People think
movie magic.
It's sexy.
Yeah, no, it's
And
not.
they have no idea.
It's
There's
not sexy.
It's
there's
not.
all these
Sexy.
sweaty
What you
guys
look-
in
what
cargo
you see-
shorts, that look like they're thinking about going to the strip club afterwards, holding boom mics
Yeah.
over you, moving stuff around, and you're like, oh,
God.
really? Wow.
Fuck.
That was
What, you
great.
would
Can
see
we
in the
do it a
film.
seventh
Yeah,
time? But this time I want you to turn a little bit.
little
And when you
bit
go
more.
in, can you linger a moment and then,
And then
but not as much tongue. And not as much tongue this time.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
She
Yeah.
was so cool about it, and she just said, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. You have to kiss me. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
I just puked everywhere.
I did.
Are you
though.
okay with
Oh.
this?" And I was like, "Absolutely, Stephanie. You're doing amazing. I'm just going to
Wow.
perhaps puke myself after
Yeah.
I go in for this. But I'm going to hold it in. I'm going to be strong for both of us."
Oh God.
And I don't know. I don't want to. This is a very friendly podcast because I only bring people on that I think are groovy and other people would enjoy experiencing the art that they create and perform. Last week I had a broach with my guest Lee Koch, James Franco, because he's trained with and worked with James Franco quite a bit. So, I had to ask, and he answered. And so, I don't mean to get invasive here. You guys don't have to answer, but you guys are together. You're not together off screen.
Oh no, we're not together.
You're not together.
Oh, no.
No.
So there you
no.
go.
Oh no.
We're just a second screen couple.
Yeah.
That's it.
Because when you
Make believe.
see the video, it looks like.
Yeah. No, we're not.
But the reality is you're not,
Nope.
and you had just thrown up
Yep. I had just vomited. No, we're
before
not.
you locked lips with the Sean Scott
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
McCracken from Sacramento. I'm from Auburn.
Sacramento. That's
But you're
right,
not from
that's right.
Sacramento. You pull the move that people in Auburn pull. You're really from.
Well, so I was born in Sacramento, so I am from Sacramento.
Okay, I was born
I
in
grew
Sacramento
up-
too, but I grew up in Auburn, so I say I'm from
See, I grew up-
Auburn.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I grew up in Rockland
Rockland. Okay,
and
which is-
Citrus Heights
okay.
and Orangeville.
For people who
So,
are listening,
in
they have
that
no idea what this is. They might have an idea of Sacramento. Basically, if you imagine the map of California and you look at where the San Francisco East Bay is, and you draw a line from there to the arm crevice that is Tahoe, in the middle, sorta, is Sacramento, and between Sacramento and Tahoe is Auburn, Rockland, Citrus Heights,
Oh, okay.
all that sort of thing.
Placer County, baby.
Copy that, Placer County. Yep.
But see, I grew up in both. I grew up in Placer County in my younger years, and then moved to Citrus Heights in Orangeville, which is Sacramento County. And it was, it was good. It was a good life. In Rockland, it was underdeveloped at the time, so me and my siblings, I was the youngest of 6. We would just be hiking all over this. It was just
It's
fields
rural.
for days.
It's like the countryside. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was. It's not anymore.
Yeah,
Now
it's a lot more
all
built out now.
developed and it's all residential and
And-
not quite the same. Lost some of the mystique or just kind of the charm that it had when it was so small. So
Speaking of charm, Stephanie,
Yes,
you grew up on that lovely island known as Hawaii.
that's true. I
I
did.
understand.
Yeah.
So my information's correct.
Yep. You.
Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Right on. And then you ended up, a lot of your training was in New York,
Yes.
including
Yeah.
with the legendary David Mamet.
Yeah. Yeah. David Mamet.
What was that like?
Terrifying.
Why?
Because,
And I get it.
yeah. Because he's David Mamet.
Yeah.
And
It's an institution.
yeah.
You have to contend with him, as Mark Maron might say. Like you have to
is that the new school?
It was at the Atlantic Theater Company.
The
So
Atlantic Theater.
so
that's
it
what
was
is,
also
yeah.
taking, like, when he would come in for guest class, it was like, taking, not only was it David Mamet, but it was David Mamet coming into this theater company that he had founded. So he was even
Right.
more exalted.
Wow.
And I remember there was one class and we were doing scene work and he like I did my scene, and he like kind of looked at me, and he just goes, "What do they tell you in jiu-jitsu?" And I had no fucking idea. Like,
or if you should even answer,
Yeah.
maybe that's just his commentary, you know?
And I think I said, like, "I'm sorry, Mr. Mammon, I don't do
Oh,
jujitsu." And
What
he
happened?
was like, "Oh, what did he say?" He was like, "You always keep your hands up. You can take a seat." Don't know what that meant, but
You still don't.
no, still don't. But
Can someone please write into the podcast if you know what David Mamet meant in that moment?
always keep your hands
We all
up.
want to know. Write to the podcast today.
But what he also had some great. I remember one day he was talking about how most actors and most artists are standing under like a street lamp, and they're searching for something within the glow of the street lamp, when really what they need to be doing is looking for what's in the shadows. And
That sounds very Mammoty.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that
That's
image
interesting.
has always sort of stuck with me. But
Compelling.
to answer your question, it was exhilarating and terrifying to have ever performed a scene
He
for him.
started that school with what is the other actor from Shameless? Yeah.
William H. Macy.
Oh, yeah.
Rich
Mhm.
Macy. Yeah, that's their program, right?
Yep.
I had one interaction with Bill Macy, if I can call him Bill, and that's probably an overstatement. I was working on the Warner lot, I want to say, on some show, just background,
Mhm.
and I was wrapped, and I'm heading home, and I walked past this trailer, and the door was open, and I'm just, shuffling along, and I just turned my head and looked inside, and Bill Macy's sitting right on the steps with his head in his hands and, just kind of staring out. And he clearly was like in his zone, like doing something or maybe doing nothing. I don't know. But like, I felt like I had just invaded
Oh,
a
yeah.
sacred.
Space.
So I just kind of nonchalantly shifted my vision to forward because I'm walking. Maybe I'll trip on something, and just kept going on. And I kind of, if anybody knows Bill Macy, William, Mr. Macy, love your parade, first of all. Secondly, sorry if in that one moment that you probably don't even remember, I somehow destroyed your mojo, because I feel like I did,
Yeah.
and that makes me sad. So that's the only Bill Macy.
Why you interrupting the process, man?
Oh man.
I did. That's what I did. I know,
Man.
right?
The worst.
It's crazy. It'd be like telling you as you're about to jump out of a plane to not only skydive, but you're holding hands with Will Smith because he just jumped over the Grand Canyon. And your dream, Sean Scott, as I understand it, is to skydive, hit the water, and you already have your scuba gear on. And I'm just imagining, why not do that with Will Smith? Can you do that, Sean Scott McCracken?
I'm very in. So it's not. I won't have the scuba gear already on. What I do is jump out of the plane,
Put it on midair.
and I pilot the chute down into the ocean.
Okay.
I cut away from the chute, swim down. So it's got to be somewhat shallow where I land, right? Maybe 20 feet. Swim down, put the BCD on, and then swim down.
Whoa.
Hold
up there, Professor. Hold up. BCD. What the fuck is that?
BCD. BCD is your buoyancy control device.
Oh, of course.
Let me push
Right?
my nerd
Yeah.
glasses for
Yeah, our
my
nerd
nose.
glasses are falling into the Greek salad here. Sorry, we're trying to wipe them off so we can see each other again. The BCD, clearly, which everyone's, yes, you will know. Yeah.
That's
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought that was obvious.
Clearly.
So, but then, see that I got to get into the school of the Hammerhead Sharks.
What's
That's
the
all
deal
part
with that? Circling.
Yeah, circling.
Why?
Definitely. Because it's just you got to have it all. You got to. The whole package has to be there. The whole kit and caboodle, the whole.
This is something
experience.
that you've thought about. This is you're
I
not.
read this on his website last night. He's
Oh.
clearly auditioning to be the next most interesting man in the world.
Yeah.
And he's cleverly doing this because he'll also negotiate a juicy buyout of his existing
contract
Men's
with
Wearhouse
Men's
contract.
Wearhouse.
Well played, you, Sean Scott.
Mhm,
He's got
mhm,
some
mhm.
strategery going on.
That's it.
I
That's
see you
it.
more on TV than I see you in real life. to be honest. I do.
And
I
yet,
should
if
hang
I
out
watched this music video, "We Are the Lonely,"
Uh-huh.
I would have. I was
You would never
convinced.
know. That's because
that-
we're really good actors.
Copy that. Speaking of good actors, because I'm gonna have to wrap this up here, kids, and pretty shortly. Stephanie,
Yes.
you were also, and not to,
Oh gosh.
not to ask you a question
Oh
like,
no.
But Kevin Spacey.
Somehow I knew
his
this was
old
going to come
Vic,
up.
But it's the New Voices
Yes.
New York, so it's a
Yes.
progress. So you didn't actually go to London
No.
to the old Vic. You were in. This was like a satellite thing.
Yes. So
did you even encounter Kevin Spacey?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you did.
Mm-hmm. He taught us.
We're listening.
He taught us a monologue class. I mean, what he did was abhorrent, right? But
He's a magnificent actor.
he's a magnificent actor
and
and a very fucked up person.
clearly.
We didn't know any of this, of course, at the time when this was happening. But so he, taught us like a couple of acting classes. He showed up to our performances of the theater pieces we were doing. He hosted one of them. He also, this is, in retrospect, this is so bad. I remember like when we would have the receptions after the performances in this program, I remember the girls would always say to each other, the way that we get Kevin Spacey to notice us is to stand with the youngest, most attractive actor at the party.
Wow.
We all knew
Sure.
he was gay, but like
Yeah.
I didn't know.
There's a difference between having a sexual orientation and being a predator.
Exactly.
Like Bill Cosby just got convicted. He's a predator.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
100%. But yeah, in retrospect, I mean, I didn't, none of us knew
Yeah.
what had gone on behind closed doors. And,
Okay.
but
Asked, answered, Your Honor. I mean, we had to.
yeah, had to go.
So let me ask, what does it feel like for you as a woman
Mhm.
and as an attractive woman who's
Mhm.
frankly cast in things as an attractive, blue-eyed, kind of blonde hair?
Kind of blonde, kind of brown.
blonde. Do you need me to be blonde? I can be blonde.
Yeah.
What is it like for you? Can you compare and contrast briefly in just a sentence or two? As we belittle this huge topic that's ever unfolding here. Me Too, before and after for you as a working actor here in Hollywood.
I would say thank God it happened because it was a long time coming.
Right.
Millennia. Yeah. And I would say that, and I would say that there is still a long way that we have to go in terms of fixing it.
Absolutely.
And it's going to require people believing victims and creating a workspace that feels 100% safe 100% of the time and will support people voicing when they feel uncomfortable, because even after Me Too, I've had friends come. It's still a fucking problem.
Yeah.
It really is. And the problem, I will say, is that like, as an actress who has for the most part worked in low budget independent film,
Right.
there is almost zero accountability for those people, right? Like they don't have a studio behind them.
Right.
And
there's nothing to lose.
Right. And we need to get to a point where not sexually harassing someone is just part of normal good behavior. Right.
Do you notice it? Absolutely. Do you notice a difference on productions where there's more women in positions of authority, whether they're the director or they're writers or they're producers or, head of departments?
Mm-hmm.
Do you notice a difference?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
Are you listening, Hollywood?
Yeah. Can you hear me? And that was more than one sentence, but thank God it happened, but there's still a long way to go in terms of fixing the problem. I mean, we can talk about what's happening tomorrow in the
Just going to say, the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And when this drops, that'll have already happened. And I can just imagine what the Sunday talk shows, Meet the Press, and all the rest will be talking about Thursday, with the Judge Kavanaugh hearings, and I think there's now 3 women that have come forward.
Yep.
And yeah, it's they're very interesting times. Kind of feel like maybe possibly the human race is slightly evolving into something slightly better. Maybe,
hopefully.
Yeah. Well, let's end on a fun note here, because I do got to wrap it up. There's so much more that I would love to talk about with you guys. And since Sean Scott cleverly pulled some machinations here to see to it that he gets invited back, because he can say, well, I wasn't on the podcast. My speakerphone voice was on the podcast.
That wonderful Greek salad.
Can you rebook me? You know,
in complete form. Can we do this again? Can we roll it back? You know, I actually wanted to. I listened to all your podcasts when I was working in New York.
Yeah, you were telling me that. And thank you. Appreciate the listenership.
You're welcome. Yeah, I grew through. What is that? Like 12 hours almost. 10 hours, easy.
Maybe less, but sure. It's a number.
But I put in the work. And I was listening to Lee Koch, and he mentioned something about J. Edgar, and I was trying to think, how did I meet Mark in the first place?
Yes.
I know how I met Stefanie. I met her when I was going by just Sean and for, Only the Lonely, and then we had another project together, and then I tried to convince the whole world that I get to choose my name, and it's Scott. And we
understand Sean Scott.
And but it was you and me, and I love working with Stefanie. I can't wait to work more together. I'm sure we will, since we've had so much.
You guys are definitely already a thing. That has to happen.
Yeah,
the audience demands it.
The audience demands it.
You and I, you said you were saying some story about J. Edgar that you said maybe you couldn't share the whole thing, and I wondered, were you in the car with me in the back seat with Leonardo DiCaprio as he's turning around and talking to us in J. Edgar?
No, but now I'm intrigued because I have my own story, and clearly you have yours. There's a lot of stories apparently.
Whoa, yes.
Oh.
Okay, that's definitely for another podcast.
Part 2. Yeah. Way to drop that right at the end.
Yeah, well, I always get cast in these period pieces, which I feel like all 3 of us, we have that look that Hollywood decides, you look like you're not of this time. You can be of this time, but
not really.
You feel more comfortable if we put you in these uncomfortable, itchy clothing of another period.
Do you get cast in Westerns?
I have not, which is useful because my career is not quite at the point where I get the kind of juicy speaking roles that you two keep getting. So like it's basically, how do I live in Hollywood without a car? Oh, you heard me.
Ooh.
Why do you think I had a story about the Uber driver? Wow. Yeah, how do I go to Santa Clarita without a car? Because that's frankly where a lot of those Westerns are going to get shot. So I have not, and now I got the beard, but I would love to.
Me too.
Absolutely.
Scott,
I think the 3 of us should be in a Western of some kind.
Let's just put it out there.
Okay.
To Hollywood.
I love this. I want to be in another Western. I used to do some double work for Mad Men's show for John Hamm.
Yeah, you mentioned I was on a couple episodes of it. Oh my God, John Hamm. Wow. I actually questioned my sexuality because I was in a scene in a bar, and I had actually been on the show previously that John Slattery directed, but John Hamm wasn't in some diner scene. This background. But the second one I got to do, John Hamm rounds a corner, and I just looked, and I forgot everything that was in my mind because I was like,
just went doe-eyed.
That's John Hamm.
That's John Hamm.
Wow. He is dreamy.
Yeah, he is. He puts the eamy in dreamy. I don't even know what that means, but yeah, it's amazing. But you stood in for him.
Yeah, stood in for him for all of the marketing for the last 2 seasons, and then also Timothy Olyphant.
Right.
And on one of those shoots, the producer came out and they said, "What size pants are you?"
Did you say that's a personal
32,
question?
32?
It's a personal question, unless you're on a set.
It's a very unique question. That's 32, 32. She said, "Do you think you can walk down a dusty road?"
Oh,
convincingly. I thought, yeah.
Like, wait, I got to call my representation. I'll get back to you.
So we went up to to the ranch up there in Santa Clarita, and I got in this van, and this is about in the middle of my career, so I'm still a little nervous about, at the time, working with all these different...
The middle of your career, because now you're enjoying the sunset years.
The sunset years.
Jesus.
Yeah, right, yeah.
What is
this? This is the
What's the
gritty part
Sinatra
right
tune?
now. This is the grind and the grit part of what we're in my career right now. And so they put me in all of his clothes, Dalen's clothes, Timothy Olyphant character.
Right.
And I
Justified,
walked down the
right?
dusty road. Justified.
Yeah.
Walked down the dusty road, and that was me in all of the promos all over TV.
Wow.
Nice.
And it was the most surreal thing because all I had to do was walk down the road, and I've got 8 producers just watching me like hawks to make sure that I don't blow it.
And I'm sure they all had notes, too.
And I finish it, and then all of a sudden I got this huge round of applause by 8 producers.
Oh.
What?
Just like, yeah, I'm like, I just walked down the road.
But it's the way
it was
you
the way
walked.
you did it.
It's the way
Mhm.
those
Right.
32 pants hung. We'll just leave it at that.
Yep.
Stephanie and I are both looking at each other going, we don't know what to do with our hands. You know, baseball. Yeah. And on that note, kids, I got to wrap it up here because there's so much more. I had so many more questions I want to ask you guys, but this was a hell of a lot of fun. You, dear listener, listening right now, you need to go on the internets, find We Are the Lovely, the music video, watch that thing. We'll have the link in the
Lonely.
We Are
the Lonely by Una.
We Are the Lonely featuring the lovely couple.
Oh, yes.
That is Stefanie Estes and Sean Scott McCracken.
Yes, sir.
We got to do more of this, kids.
Yep.
Absolutely. So I'm sorry that I couldn't make it there into the studio with you. It's been a crazy day coming back from New York and shooting, but I do look forward to being in the studio another time with you, Mark. I have a lot of more stuff to talk to you about. I was also in Jersey Boys with you. Twice with
Jersey Boys, yeah. What's this thing with Clint Eastwood movies and you and I? I like it. We need to do more of it.
Keeps happening. Yeah. And Steph, I hope to see you more frequently.
Oh, yeah. Not just on TV.
Just on TV.
Not just on TV.
Over the phone.
I know.
Yeah.
And I hope I didn't create a thing here where people, audience are going to be demanding, and then you got
if they
TMZ stalking the two of you,
then we'll get more work.
When you guys happen to walk past each other on the studio lot on completely different projects, and you don't even know.
Dun, dun, dun.
And TMZ's there, like, what's going on with Stefanie and Sean Scott? Like, what would you guys' name be? It would be like, because Sean Scott, you got that wordy name, so would it be Sean
I guess it would
Effany
be
Scott?
Triple S, right? Triple S?
Triple S. 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 S.
Scottfany?
Scoffany.
Scottfany.
Scottfany.
There it is.
Scottfany?
That's it.
I don't know. All right, Scottfany.
No. McEstes. McEstes.
McEstes.
McEstes. I like it.
McEstes.
It's got
McEstes.
commercial applications.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think we'll have to leave it there, kids. Sean Scott and Stefanie. Or what would he say? Scott Tiffany? I don't remember. It was good. Good to catch up with him. Good to catch up with Sean Scott over the speakerphone. I guess that worked out. Sorry, guys, if the sound quality is not the greatest, but, we had a situation, and I think you'll like it. So hope you did. It was nice to meet and discover Stefanie as well, and definitely got to get both of them back on, especially in person. Hey, look for the show notes at markromanempire.com for any links or the groovy stuff that was mentioned during the podcast. I am still catching up on those, my pretties. It's just me and a sound engineer on the day, kids. You can listen on Mixcloud, Podbean, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and YouTube. Please follow me, like, and share. The more platforms we get, the better. I'm working on it. Takes time, guys. So please do share this podcast with other folks you know if you like it. Don't forget, you can claim your $5 when you try the Cash App and use my code WKXRVBX. Save 10% with discount code Roman at eladondesigns.com. Book Lieutenant Frank or other characters at vegas90210.com and buy the merch, the poem, citation, and Lieutenant Frank headshot at markromanempire.com. That's how you can support the podcast. Because no joke, without it, I may have to shut this all down. We don't want that. Speaking of want special deals? Join my mailing list. The Mark Roman Empire Census. What kind of deals? Like all my current merch, normally $55, slashed to $25 with free shipping. That was a few days ago. Now expired. Hey, it might return. But moving forward, deals like that will mostly only be available to those of you included in the Mark Roman Empire Census. To join the census, go to markromanempire.com and click Census. It might be Census subscribe. If you see Census, click on it. Still on the Twitter, where I'm the Mark Roman. Still not verified, just followed by dozens who are. Instagram at Vegas90210. Hey fans, you can email me. No guarantee I'll answer it on the podcast or otherwise, but if you believe your query has that certain je suis à toi, send it directly to romanpodmail@gmail.com. What a crazy day this was. I hope you guys like this episode. I think it turned out pretty well. It's fortune cookie though, man. Am I right? Let's see here. What did it say? A stranger's kindness will surprise and delight you. Talking to you, stranger. Until next week, kids, I remain Mark Roman.